Hello and welcome to Filmmaking and the Digital Revolution, a vodcast that will be focused on exploring how the film industry has changed since the digital revolution, for better or for worse. In this episode, we'll be looking at what has been changing since movies have become more reliant on digital image capturing instead of the traditional film stock. Straubhauer, LaRose, and Davenport say in Media Now that celluloid film is itself becoming obsolete with the advent of digital cameras that record high-quality images directly in digital formats, with no chemical film processing required. I think we can look at the way that digital video cameras have been slowly gaining popularity by using the diffusion of innovations theory. According to this theory, an innovation is diffused throughout a society by following a predictable pattern. Really quickly, let's look at the different kinds of people that are part of the process. There are the innovators, who first use the innovation. There are the early adopters, who start to use the technology after hearing about it through specialized journals or personal contexts. Then we have the early majority, the late majority, and those who lag behind in accepting the innovation are the laggards. Let's look at a director who I consider to be an early adopter of digital video technology, Robert Rodriguez.
The process has just gotten very convoluted. I kind of liken it to painting. What I like about the new technology is it makes you more like a painter, where it's so immediate. And I talk a lot about speed, and it is important because when you want to move at the speed of thought, so that you become like a painter again who can just mix his paint and put it up before he even knows what he was doing, and there it is. Where the way the system works, and this is why studios, when they do make a good movie, they'll call each other up and congratulate each other because they know how difficult it is to make a good movie, because it's made, well, in spite of the system that exists, not because of it. And when it can be simplified, the process is easy, everything's easy. This is why actors keep coming back to work with me, because the process is so simplified, they never feel like they're working. And neither do I. My mom told me a funny story when I was a kid, and I really liken Hollywood to that, in how long it takes for us to question tradition. And I always like this story because it's so true in a lot of ways, where young couples making ham, and the wife is cutting the edges off of the sides, and the husband asks, before she bakes it, why do you cut all the ends of the ham off before you bake it? That seems like so wasteful. She goes, I don't know, that's what my mom always did. Well, let's go ask your mother. How come you cut all the ends off the ham before you bake it? Well, I don't know, that's what my grandmother did. Let's go ask her. And ask the grandmother, why'd you cut all the ends of the ham off before you baked it? She goes, oh, that's the only way I could get it to fit in the pan I had back then. And so I think a lot of things we do, we don't even realize why we're doing. We're just doing them because they've always been done that way. Not knowing that there's new ways to do things, new technologies out there. And let's say the danger of shooting HD is that once you take that big leap and use a bigger pan, you start realizing, hey, we can do everything differently now. We don't have to throw half the milk out. We don't have to do this. We don't have to do that. And you question the entire system. And that's a good thing, too.
Many of the reasons he gives for deciding to make a movie by recording it digitally instead of on film stock are practical and efficient. You no longer have to guess how things look, but can instead look directly at the digital monitor. You also can instantly play back what you just shot to check if you like it. There's also the benefit of virtually unlimited recording time, since you are now recording onto rewritable hard drives, not permanent and expensive film stock. There are many other directors who have jumped on board with digital filmmaking, like David Lynch, Danny Boyle, Steven Soderbergh, and David Fincher. But there are some, like Robert Rodriguez's friend Quentin Tarantino, who still think that film is the best way to make a movie.
I've always believed in the magic of movies.
Yeah.
And to me, the magic of movies is connected to 35 millimeter. Because everyone thinks, you can't help but think, that when you're filming something on film, that you're recording movement. You're not recording movement. You are just taking a series of still pictures. There's no movement in movies at all. They are still pictures. But when shown at 24 frames a second, through a light bulb, it creates the illusion of movement. So thus, as opposed to a recording device, when you're watching a movie, a film print, you are watching an illusion. And to me, that illusion is connected to the magic of movies.
Tarantino's main complaint against digital movie making seems to be that it no longer produces the magical illusion that should be properly experienced by the cinema audience. But I don't think this complaint is a very good one. He seems to think that film captures a quick series of still images, while digital does not. But this is just not the case. For instance, I'm currently recording this video at 30 frames a second, so this camera is still taking a series of still images that are meant to be played back quickly to recreate the illusion of movement. The important difference, though, is that these are digital images instead of film frames. Most movies are still shot at 24 frames a second, just like they were when Tarantino was growing up. But a few, like the Hobbit trilogy, are shot at a higher frame rate. This is a good example of how those in the laggard category view innovative technology, with suspicion, with a lack of understanding, and maybe even with a little bit of fear. Now, there are a few minor points to be scored in favor of film, such as its exposure latitude, meaning its ability to still have a visible image even when it's very dark or bright, as compared to digital, which will often go completely black or completely white if it is under or overexposed too much. And 35mm film is still known to give this nice shallow depth of field, which is a little harder to achieve with digital recording. But things like this are always being improved on as digital technology advances. So it seems to me that the major critiques against digital recording being the new method of movie making are flawed in one of two ways. Either they misunderstand the technology, or they're critical of digital recording because it is better than film, which seems like a pretty self-defeating critique to me. They say things like, if it lets you see clearly while you're shooting, you'll lose the art of guesswork, or the quality is too clear that it's distracting, or if the footage is so cheap to capture, it will make you lazy and not think out all your shots. This is like critiquing a car for being too safe, because it will make you not want to drive carefully anymore. If that's the case, it's your fault, not the car's. And if HD video makes you a lazy filmmaker, that's your fault, not the fault of digital technology.